Hello and welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Let us begin the bulletin with the headlines. Hope floats again on Section 377. Apex Court agrees to revisited law criminalizing homosexuality, refers matter to 5-judge Constitution bench. No solution to the J&K government formation problem yet. Mehbooba Mufti speaks for the first time after her father's death, but keeps up with suspense. BJP asks governor for more time. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari to conclude Brunei leg of his two-nation visit today. VP to leave for Thailand in the afternoon to add another chapter to India's Act East policy. North Korea tells United Nations agencies it plans a satellite launch. South Korea, Japan and US condemn launch, call it a disguise to test missile. First case of a Zika virus reported in the United States. Local health officials in Texas say virus contracted through sexual contact and not by mosquito bite. Well, 2 years after refusing to review its judgment upholding the validity of Section 377 that criminalizes gay sex, the Supreme Court on Tuesday agreed to hear the petition seeking to reverse the court's judgment on the section. Here's a report. A 5-judge Constitution bench of the Supreme Court will hear the curative petition seeking re-examination of its verdict criminalizing gay sex under Section 377. This after a 3-judge bench comprising Chief Justice T.S. Thakur and Justices A.R. Dave and J.S. Khehar referred it to a Constitution bench on Tuesday, saying that important issues concerning the Constitution were involved in the matter.
ये पेश हुआ कि इसमें काफी महत्वपूर्ण और संवैधानिक प्रश्न उठ रहे हैं, उसकी वजह से ये समझा गया और ये भी समझा गया कि ये जो सवालत है क्यूरेटिव बेंच सिर्फ ही नहीं सुनेगा लेकिन संवैधानिक बेंच सुनेगा, जिसके सदस्य 5 जज होंगे।
ये एक व्यक्तिगत समानता का और सम्मान का मुद्दा है और ये सिर्फ सेक्स का मुद्दा नहीं है, बिल्कुल नहीं है ये सेक्स का मुद्दा। हम इसको सेक्स के मुद्दा बना करके इसको हिकारत की दृष्टि से जो देखते हैं वो ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है।
The Supreme Court's move was widely welcomed by gay rights activists as a hope of upholding the democracy in the country. The court was hearing the curative petition filed by Nas Foundation against the Apex Court's December 2013 judgment upholding validity of Section 377 of IPC and the January 2014 order by which it had dismissed a batch of review petitions.
I didn't sleep all night and I haven't had lunch today out of sheer nervousness, thinking that if they throw this out, it would be the end of the journey for us. But the fact that they didn't throw it out and they referred it to a 5-judge constitutional bench means that they take the issues, they think that there's some merit in it, right? So hopefully it's a good thing, it's a good thing.
पहली बार ऐसा हो रहा है करके कि इनके ओपन हियरिंग में ये चर्चा हुई जाएगी और रेगुलर केस की तरह इसको ट्रीट किया जाएगा। सो हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट ज़रूरी मैसेज है कि हमको एक अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी कि हमको अपना मुद्दा कम्युनिटी के सामने रखने का।
Meanwhile, Union Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu said that while the debate is continuing on the issue, the government has not formulated any view on the matter. There are 8 curative petitions seeking re-examination of the order by which the Delhi High Court verdict decriminalizing Section 377 was set aside. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. News from Jammu and Kashmir, where political uncertainty continues. Well, both the state units of the PDP and the BJP held separate meetings yesterday to discuss the possibility of a government formation in the state. Well, this was on a day when both sides were slated to convey their positions on the issue to the governor, N.N. Vora.
The BJP is blaming the PDP for the delay in forming the government in Jammu and Kashmir. Party leaders claim the uncertainties from the other side. However, they maintain that the BJP is still committed to the common minimum program of the coalition.
Common minimum program के effective implementation की बात है। जहाँ तक common minimum program के implementation का प्रश्न है, day 1 से उसको sincerely letter and spirit में implement करने के लिए हम सब, हमारा पार्टी हमेशा प्रतिबद्ध है, इसलिए इस विषय में किसी प्रकार की आशंका का कोई गुंजाइश नहीं है।
Governor N.N. Vora has already asked coalition partners BJP and PDP to clarify their stand on government formation.
मैं चाहूंगी कि हमारी जो अलायंस बीजेपी के साथ है, जो मुफ्ती साहब ने की है, जो नई सरकार बननी है, नई सरकार बनने से पहले बीजेपी ने गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की तरफ से कुछ ऐसे मेजर्स हों जम्मू कश्मीर के हवाले से नहीं, खाली जम्मू कश्मीर लद्दाख के हवाले से कुछ ऐसी चीजें हों जिससे जम्मू कश्मीर में एक अच्छा माहौल बने, और जब अगर नई सरकार बनती है तो उसको एक स्पेस मिले, उसको एक फ्लिप मिले। तो मैंने ये बातें कही हैं।
The core group of the state BJP held meetings and also sent a 3-member team to New Delhi for consultations with the central leadership. BJP's Deputy Chief Minister Nirmal Singh also met Mehbooba Mufti ahead of a meeting with the governor.
हमारे पास ऑफिशियली कुछ नहीं आया है, एश्योरेंस की बात कुछ नहीं आई है, क्योंकि हम कोलिशन पार्टनर्स हैं और जो भी बात होगी आमने सामने की होगी। इस प्रकार की कोई बात अभी नहीं है, लेकिन हमने गवर्नर साहब से समय मांगा है कि हमें एक और समय दिया जाए ताकि जो चीजें हैं उनको रिजॉल्व करने के लिए हमने कम से कम 8-10 दिन कहे हमने।
Meanwhile, on Tuesday, traders called for a one-day shutdown to protest against the government's failure in compensating them for the huge losses. Only a handful of people were seen out on the roads.
जो 2014 में यहाँ पे फ्लड आई थी, यहाँ पे काफ़ी नुकसान हुआ था ट्रेडर्स का, दुकानदारों का। हालांकि सारे कश्मीर में फ्लड आई थी, लेकिन इसके बाद इनने डिमांड की थी हमें कुछ रिलीफ चाहिए। लेकिन जब से आप जानते हो कि इनको मिला कुछ नहीं, बस इनको ख्वाब दिखाए गए कि हम आपको ये देंगे वो देंगे, लेकिन एट लास्ट जब इन्होंने देखा कि इनको कुछ नहीं दिया गया, इसलिए आज ट्रेडरों ने कश्मीर में कॉल दिए कि दुकानें बंद रहेंगी और कश्मीर बंद रहेगा।
The traders' protest for the second day comes amid concerns that the government could abandon the proposal to provide financial rehabilitation to the state. PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti has maintained that she wanted to reassess whether the Narendra Modi government would take substantive steps within a set time frame to address the core political and economic issues of the state. With 27 MLAs in the 87-member assembly, the PDP ran a coalition government with the BJP's 25 legislators for 10 months, till the demise of Chief Minister Mufti Saeed on January 7th brought about the current situation. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
And news from Punjab, a suspected spy who was working as a labourer at the Mamun cantonment in Pathankot was arrested by the police. The suspect has been identified as Irshad Ahmed, a resident of Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. A smartphone was recovered from his possession containing pictures of vital installations and sensitive equipment in the cantonment area. The suspect has been booked under the Official Secrets Act and is being questioned by the central and state security agencies. Now, the arrest comes within a month of the terror attack at the Pathankot air base, in which 7 security personnel were killed along with 6 militants. Well, a very short break in here. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
India's biggest newsmakers. Opinion makers of the day.
I had 2 questions.
India, we all know we have been having
The focus is really on highways.
They are not stepping out and say that we will do it.
In direct interaction.
You can donate eye, but you cannot donate vision. The lack of the vision is an important problem in the country.
RSTV takes television programming to a whole new level. Watch Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari in full flow on Spotlight, Thursday at 10 p.m.
Welcome back. Well, on day 3 of his visit to Brunei, the Vice President will address a lecture at the University of Brunei before proceeding for the second leg of his two-nation tour to Thailand. On a Tuesday, India and Brunei boosted defence ties as the two nations signed 3 agreements after Vice President held talks with Brunei's top leadership. On a historic state-level visit to Brunei Darussalam, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari called upon Sultan Haji Hassan Al Bolkiah as both the nations inked 3 significant memorandum of understanding in the defence, health and sports sector. A first ever by an Indian Vice President, the visit is seen as a bid to strengthen further already strong ties between the two countries.
The framework agreement seeks to institutionalize this cooperation, and the following major areas have been identified: exchange of visits at different levels, exchange of experience, information, training, trainers, etc., conduct of joint military exercises, seminars and discussions, cooperation between the defense industries.
Both the countries also affirmed their commitments on a number of international and strategic issues, especially concerns over terrorism across the region.
First issue that was touched upon was the problem of terrorism, how technology has been used or misused as far as the spread of terrorism is concerned, and the importance which should be attached to cooperation in this sector through exchange of information, use of information technology, and cooperating with ASEAN as a larger group.
Vice President Ansari also met with Crown Prince Haji Al Mutadi Billah at his palace, Kashr Al Mizan. Later, he addressed Indian diaspora and asked them to build unbreakable bondage with the host nation.
You've done excellent work, and I am absolutely confident that in the years to come, you will continue to do that work and in the process, consciously or otherwise, build bridges, unbreakable bridges between the country which you may regard as home country or country of origin and the host country.
On day 2 of his visit, the Vice President will address a lecture at the University of Brunei, after which he will proceed for the second leg of the tour in Thailand. The Vice President is slated to hold a meeting with Prime Minister of Thailand later in the day.
It's a first ever state-level visit by any Indian Vice President to Brunei. Vice President Hamid Ansari met with Sultan of Brunei Haji Hasnul Bolkiah in his majestic palace, where the two sides took up agreements strengthening further their ties, which has dated back for the last 3 decades. In Brunei with camera person MS Suresh, Rajat Kane, Rajya Sabha TV.
And sad news coming in. Former Lok Sabha Speaker and veteran Congress leader Balram Jhakar died in New Delhi this morning. Balram Jhakar served as the Speaker of Lok Sabha from 1980 to 1989. He was elected to the 7th Lok Sabha from Firozpur in 1980 and re-elected to the 8th Lok Sabha from Sikar in 1984. He also served as the Governor of Madhya Pradesh from 2004 to 2009. As a Speaker of Lok Sabha, Dr. Jhakar was instrumental in automation and computerization of parliamentary work. He promoted the Parliament Library, reference research, documentation and information services for the knowledge and use of members of Parliament. Well, switching gears now, the Reserve Bank of India kept interest rates intact in its 6th bi-monthly monetary policy of the current fiscal. The central bank also chose to keep a watch on inflationary pressures before making its next move. It also said that it will look to budget 2016-17 for a clear roadmap on key macroeconomic parameters.
Loan EMIs are not falling anytime soon. The RBI is keeping the repo rate at which the central bank lends money to banks unchanged at 6.75% and the reverse repo rate at 7.75%. The RBI also kept the cash reserve ratio, the proportion of deposits banks need to keep with RBI, unchanged at 4%. The RBI has lowered its key policy repo rate by 125 basis points since last January, but banks have passed on only around 50 to 60 basis points to borrowers.
The Reserve Bank continues to be accommodative, even as it leaves the policy rate unchanged in this review, while awaiting further data on the development of inflation.
The central bank says while inflation is expected to hit 6% for January 2016, however, implementation of the 7th Pay Commission could impart an upward momentum to it for the next 1 or 2 years. Analysts say the RBI's decision was on expected lines as inflation exhibited a rising trend. However, industrial production plunged to an over 4-year low, contracting 3.2% in November, raising expectations of corporate India for a rate cut.
Market was expecting that he might like to push the economy. But I think Mr. Rajan is thinking in a different direction. He would like to know the policy initiatives.
The RBI should be a little bold enough and to encourage the industry, rate cut was expected, and we were expecting that something should come.
Reserve Bank kept its growth projections for Indian economy unchanged at 7.4% for the current fiscal, a tad higher than 7.3% forecast by the World Bank. Meanwhile, it pegged the growth to quicken to 7.6%. The RBI will also ease regulations to help startups raise foreign funding. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Afghanistan's Chief Executive Officer Abdullah has called upon the countries across the world to draft and implement a joint counter-terrorism plan. While emphasizing upon regionalizing such an initiative, Abdullah also said that the world is reluctant in implementing a global counter-terrorism plan. The Afghanistan CEO is on a 5-day visit to India and was addressing the counter-militancy conference in Jaipur on Tuesday. He also said that the Afghan government is committed to flushing out terror from war-torn Afghanistan.
We have relaunched a peace process. Our peace efforts are aimed at meeting the desire of every Afghan for freeing our country from an endless cycle of war and violence, and to prevent us in the use of our soil as a platform for regional and global terrorist activities.
And now let's take a look at the events lined up for the day in the day ahead. As part of the tradition of exchanging titles of honorary generals between Nepal and India, General Rajendra Chetri will receive the honorary rank of General of the Indian Army from President Pranab Mukherjee today. General Chetri is on a 6-day official visit to India on the invitation of his Indian counterpart, General Dalbir Singh Suhag. As part of its review of election preparedness in poll-bound states, Chief Election Commissioner Naseem Zaidi will arrive on a 3-day visit to Kerala today. Zaidi will interact with officers of the state administration, including political parties, during the visit. Assembly elections are likely to be held in West Bengal, Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry in April to May. Karnataka is to showcase the investment opportunities in the state outside of Bangalore to global and Indian firms at a 3-day Invest in Karnataka summit to begin today. Karnataka is witnessing increased competition from Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, who are pushing for investments in their respective states. Arun Jaitley, Rahul Gandhi are likely to attend the Invest Karnataka 2016 program in Bangalore. Time for another very short break. We'll be back with more international and sports news. Keep watching Rajya Sabha.
Art arisen from a multi-hued cultural canvas. Tradition and cultural fervour dating back centuries. And encircling them all, there's a magic that awes. Embrace your nation's brilliant human warmth. Watch Colours of India, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Well, North Korea has indicated that it will launch a satellite sometimes between 8th to 25th of February. Well, a United Nations agency confirmed the news on Tuesday, drawing a condemnation from South Korea, Japan and United States. Well, this is seen as a further major breach of UN resolutions following a nuclear test in the month of January. Here is more.
A UN agency said North Korea has announced plans to launch a satellite later this month. Washington described the launch plan as a violation of a UN ban on missile launches in the country and called for more sanctions. The International Maritime Organization said it had received a shipping warning from North Korea of its intention to launch an Earth observation satellite between the 8th and 25th of February. The Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe told Parliament on Wednesday if North Korea goes ahead and launches the rocket, it would clearly violate UN Security Council resolutions and pose a serious provocation.
これは実際は弾道ミサイルの発射を意味するものであります。核実験の実施に引き続き北朝鮮が弾道ミサイルの発射を強行することは明白な安保理決議違反であり。
Although Pyongyang insists its space program is purely scientific in nature, the international community views such launches as disguised ballistic missile tests.
만약 북한이 장거리 미사일 발사를 강행할 경우 이는 한반도는 물론 이 지역과 전 세계의 평화와 안보에 대한 중대한 위협으로서 국제사회로부터 혹독한 대가를 치르게 될 것임을.
If the notified launch goes ahead, it will be a particular slap in the face to the US, which has spent the past month seeking international support for tough sanctions on Pyongyang over its 6th January nuclear test. The White House said any satellite launch by North Korea would be viewed by the international community as another destabilizing provocation.
We have been working with the international community, both at the UN and with our allies and partners in the region, to confront North Korea for their destabilizing activities. Just a few weeks ago, they conducted a nuclear test that violated through their basic international obligations, and carrying out a satellite launch like the one that has been discussed publicly would just be another destabilizing provocation on the part of the North Koreans.
UN resolutions forbid North Korea from any use of ballistic missile technology, and the UN imposed sanctions following the country's previous rocket launch in December 2012. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
News from the Middle East now. Well, Syria peace talks in Geneva are in the danger of collapsing at any moment. Well, this as the Syrian opposition refused to attend meeting with the UN envoy on Tuesday, demanding an end to the airstrikes and siege of civilian areas. However, the Syrian government representatives say that there should not be any preconditions for the talks. Peace talks on Syria stalled on Tuesday. This after Syrian government and opposition failed to see eye for an eye again, trading charges against each other. UN Special Envoy Staffan de Mistura met Syrian government side, but talks with the opposition were called off. The opposition says it will not negotiate unless the government ends its sieges and airstrikes on rebels, while the government delegation insists there should be no preconditions for talks.
وليس بطريقة السياسيين المحترفين. نحن قلنا وما زلنا نقول أن هذا الحوار وفقا للقرار 2254 ورسالة الدعوة هو حوار سوري بامتياز يقوده السوريون أنفسهم.
De Mistura now says the talks are an uphill challenge as trust between both sides was close to zero. More than 250,000 people have died in almost 5 years of war in Syria. The refugee crisis and spread of Islamic State through large areas of Syria and from there to Iraq has injected a new urgency to resolve the 5-year-old war.
In unseren Haltungen zu Syrien auch Unterschiede haben. Trotzdem haben wir uns im letzten November in Wien mit allen wichtigen internationalen und regionalen Akteuren dann im VN
تنش در این منطقه به نفع هیچ کس نیست. حمایت از افراط و فرقه‌گرایی در این منطقه به نفع هیچ کس نیست و بیش از همه حاکمان سعودی از آن متضرر خواهند شد و ما.
Despite the international pressure, however, the chances of success in talks appear to be receding. More so as the Syrian government, supported by Russian airstrikes, are advancing against rebels in Aleppo and other western parts of the country, where the main cities are located. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. News from the United States. Well, the first known case of a Zika virus transmission in the country was reported in Dallas, Texas on Tuesday. Local health officials said that it was contracted through sexual contact and not the bite of a mosquito. Officials said that the case was transmitted through sexual contact with someone who had traveled to Venezuela. Zika is carried by mosquitoes and has been linked to thousands of babies being born with underdeveloped brains. It is spreading through the Americas, and the World Health Organization has declared the virus a global public health emergency. Meanwhile, 2 cases of the Zika virus have been confirmed in Australia now. Officials said that the 2 Sydney residents had recently returned from the Caribbean. More international news now in World Wrap. Republicans and Democrats vying for their party's ticket for November's U.S. presidential election have been arriving in New Hampshire ahead of the next vote. Monday's caucuses in Iowa were won by Senator Ted Cruz for the Republicans and Hillary Clinton for the Democrats. Cruz prevailed despite trailing in the opinion polls, while Clinton beat Senator Bernie Sanders by just 0.2%. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said on Tuesday that U.S. would continue to keep the pressure against the Islamic State so that the terror organization does not grow elsewhere. Kerry was speaking at a 23-nation core meeting in Rome to review the fight against Islamic State. More than 1 lakh passengers were stranded at China's Guangzhou railway station due to snow and sleet in central and eastern provinces. 27 trains were delayed. However, authorities have been taking emergency measures to alleviate the overflow of crowds. Extra train services have been deployed. Now, this comes as many Chinese locals are expected to travel back to their hometowns to celebrate the Lunar New Year holiday with their families between the 24th of January to 3rd of March. All the sports news now in Sports Beat. Two-time Olympian Sanjeev Rajput secured India's 12th Olympic quota berth from shooting for the Rio Olympics. Rajput finished 4th in the men's 50 meters rifle 3 positions at Asian Olympic qualifying competition in New Delhi. With 12 shooters securing berth already, India could be sending their highest ever representatives in the event for the Olympics. Jamie Vardy scored twice as Leicester beat Liverpool to stay 3 points clear at the top of the Premier League. The England striker opened the scoring with a brilliant 25-yard strike over goalkeeper Simon Mignolet before sealing the victory with a shot from close range. Prosecutors in Brazil have recommended that football star Neymar be charged for 4 counts of fraud in relation to a tax case prior to his transfer to Barcelona in 2013. It is alleged that companies were set up as fronts in order for the striker to pay a lower rate of tax. The officials in Brazil say that the allegations against the Barcelona striker cover a 7-year period from 2006. Meanwhile, Neymar appeared in court in Madrid in connection with fraud allegations surrounding his transfer. That's all in this edition of news, but news and updates continue on Rajya TV. Thanks for watching.